Life can be unfair. Sometimes the good deeds we do are not always returned to us. My name is Miranda. I am a young, single, and independent mother, and I live in Gabon. I have a child. His name is Dennis. Since birth, I have raised my child on my own. Before continuing my story, subscribe and don't forget to activate the notification bell so you don't miss new stories. I met Matthew when I was 19. I had just obtained my advanced level certificate. Matthew is the father of Dennis. When we met, Matthew was in his third year at university, but he had trouble finishing his year for lack of means. Matthew's life was not easy. He had lost his parents very early, and it was one of his uncles who paid for his studies up to university. Unfortunately for him, the latter died when he had not yet finished paying his pension. Matthew managed to do odd jobs here and there to be able to get by. It was in this financial situation that I met Matthew. Despite that, I loved him deeply. At that time, I was still living with my parents. They were not very wealthy, but they gave me everything I needed. I remember that during our relationship, I often took part of the meals that my mother cooked to give to Matthew. With the love I had for him, I was ready to do anything to help him so that he could complete his pension that year. So I had to ask my parents for the money, telling them that I needed it to prepare for a competition. I took this money and gave it to him so that he could finish his pension. As time passed, Matthew and I were living in perfect love. We loved each other so much that we made a commitment to live our lives together. After graduating, Matthew started searching for a job. He filed his documents to several structures in the city, but never had the privilege of being called. His friends always told him that you had to be recommended to get a job. He was so disappointed that he ended up believing what he was told. Discouraged, Matthew came to meet me one evening near my house, sad and dejected. He was so sad that I thought he was sick. "What's wrong, my love? Are you sick? You are all pale," I asked. "No, honey, I'm not sick, but I'm just tired of this life," he told me. If Dad was still alive, maybe he would have found the solution to my situation. I read a deep pain in his eyes, and I wondered what I could do for him, because his state of mind broke my heart. Knowing that my father had several friends and contacts in many structures in the country, I resolved to talk to him about it. The same evening, I went to speak to my father about it, begging him to help a friend of mine who was looking for a job. My father asked me to call him and tell him to meet him, which I quickly did. The next day, Matthew came home to meet my dad. He asked him to put together her file again and give it to him the next day. Matthew left full of joy. His financial situation would soon change. He hurried home to prepare the documents for the file that had been requested of him. A few weeks later, Matthew was called into a banking structure since he studied accounting. This is how he started work as an accountant. After 3 years of relationship, when I had just graduated from university, being pregnant, Matthew suggested that I go live with him since he had already asked my parents for my hand. They saw no inconvenience. Matthew and I had moved into a new luxurious apartment since he already had the means to afford it. At first, everything seemed perfect in our luxurious love nest. Everything was wonderful until the day when Matthew met Stephanie, his co-worker. He started coming home later and later. He very often took mission trips as pretexts and would spend several days away from home, leaving me all alone, despite my condition. Returning home one evening, I began to conduct my own investigations. I took his phone discreetly and began to search. Eventually, I found out that he was having an affair with one of his office mates, Stephanie. He spoke to me very often of her intelligence, her eloquence, her insight, and her elegance like no other. In short, he always said he had a lot of admiration for her. As naive as I was, I just thought he only liked her as a co-worker. What an idiot I was. I read a message from her thanking him for the wonderful weekend they had spent together in a seaside town. I immediately remembered this weekend. He told me that he was going on a business trip. Carried away by intense pain, which I could not describe, I went to demand an explanation from him. "Matthew, what's going on with Stephanie and you?" I asked. "Nothing special." "Why this question, dear? Don't you even dare lie to me. Why this attitude, my heart?" "Sweetheart, are you calling me your heart and cheating on me?" "No, honey. Calm down." "I'm not calming down. I have read your messages, and the last message she sent made it clear that you were with her last weekend." "Oh, so you're already digging through my phone. Don't change the subject. Besides, I have no explanation to give you." Matthew got up immediately and left the house. That was the first time we have ever argued this violently, so I wondered what was wrong with us. What had gone wrong? He came back the next day in the evening but did not speak to me. In anger, I asked him not to set foot in the house again and to go find her. Matthew asked me if I knew how to pay the rent of a house or if I knew how to earn money. He raised his hand on me that night, despite my condition, and kicked all my stuff out of the house. I received insults of all kinds, but what stuck in my memory was that hurtful word. "You're not my kind of woman anymore." I was hurt both in my flesh and in my pride. "Matthew, what did you become? With everything I've done for you?" Tears streamed endlessly from my eyes. I was broken. My life was ruined. Just a few minutes later, I started to feel excruciating pain at the bottom sail. I was in so much pain that I called Matthew. "Matthew, please help me. I'm in pain. I'm very sick." Matthew pretends not to hear me. He took his car keys and drove off, leaving me writhing in pain. At that moment, I took the phone to call my mother. She understood just by listening to my voice that I was not well. She asked me not to move, to wait for her there. I was finally taken to the hospital, and 2 days later, I gave birth to a premature baby. My boy was born when I was 7 months gone. I spent several days in the hospital with my baby. When mother called Matthew several times to tell him the news, all to no avail. His phone number did not go through. I spent almost 2 months in the hospital before being discharged. Once I got out, I went to live with my parents so that my mother could take care of me. Matthew was aware of my delivery, but did not deign to show himself. He was always making excuses not to come see me. I ended up discovering that he was already living with Stephanie in our house. This time, I will not let myself be devastated. Even if Matthew had abandoned me, at least I had my baby. It was my reason for living now. Several months passed and my boy was growing well. As soon as he turned 1, we threw a gigantic birthday party. It had already been a year since I had given birth, a year since I had not seen Matthew. He had never seen his son. Just thinking about it made my heart ache. A few months later, I learned that Matthew was fired from his job for fraud. In short, he had been trained by Stephanie, who had falsified certain documents, corrupted by a local company. She had found a loophole to whitewash herself and blame him. Since it was his signature on the document, he could only be arrested. While awaiting trial, he was placed in a cell for investigation. I resolved to go and visit him in the cell. Despite his betrayal, I still had feelings for him. When he saw me, he was so surprised that he began to ask my forgiveness. "Miranda, please forgive me. I know I hurt you a lot. Forgive me. Give me a second chance. I want to be a father for our son." I looked at him and didn't say a word. But I assure you, I wanted to take him in my arms to comfort him. His pain was always mine. I still loved him so much. Only, torn between love and resentment, what was I to do?